Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. I salute Bhagavat Pada Shankara, who is the repository of all the Shrutis, the Vedas, the Smritis, the subsidiary scriptures, and the Puranas, mythology, who is also compassionate and is the world's benefactor. Atmabodha, or self-knowledge. We are on verse 4. It is only because of ignorance that the self appears to be finite. When ignorance is destroyed, the self, which does not admit of any multiplicity whatsoever, truly reveals itself by itself, like the sun when the cloud is removed. In Vedanta, when Vedanta says ignorance, that needs a little explanation. What really is ignorance? And the word Atman is translated as self. So it is the Atman, the self, because of ignorance, appears to be finite. The Atman is infinite, but appears to be finite. But when ignorance is destroyed, when the ignorance, that makes the infinite finite, then what happens is it reveals itself by itself. Like the sun when the cloud is removed. When the sun is a cloud, that is illustration just to give us an idea of what exactly happens. The sun is huge, but it appears to be covered by a wispy, insignificant cloud. You can see it, and the cloud is a small patch. And here we know it, in Seattle, we know it very well. And at times it peeps out and again it's covered. It peeps out and again covered. We go to this multiple times a day. Now we're used to it. That is the illustration that's given here. Now, because of ignorance, now this is a very big, it's a technical term. It's actually an absence of knowledge. You must always remember that it's translated as ignorance, but it is really absence of knowledge. Because the Sanskrit, it is ajnanat. So I'll read the Sanskrit. Parichinna iva ajnanat nashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashate hi atma mega parve angshumam iva. Angshuman iva. So we'll slowly go through this. Now, let's look at it like this. We know so many things, and yet we do not know many, many, many things. It's just impossible for us to know everything. Sometimes you wonder, like, oh, you always have a doubt. Our knowledge is always smitten with doubt. Can human intelligence be able to comprehend everything? Fully to decode the world, how it is organized, is just impossible. We may know bits and pieces of it. There is always something called the arrogance of ignorance. Ignorance, and all religions have always asked us to be careful of that. Arrogance. You should not have arrogance, of course. But intellect is the one thing that is your best friend in order to, but it has to be made pure and one-pointed. One-pointed, why? Because in the Upanishad is saying, Drishyate tva grahya buddhya. It is seen, the Atman is seen through a fine and one-pointed intellect. Now when you say, oh my God, this, but always, the more you know, the more you don't know. The more you know. So this ajnana, ignorance, as Swami Nikhilananda has shown in his notes, ignorance is destroyed by means of contemplation and realization of the truth contained in the Mahavakya, that is the Vedic dictum. Like, I am Brahman, this Atman is Brahman, and the consciousness is Brahman, etc. Now, what is contemplation? That also is, in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature, you come across an argument. There are two arguments. Is ignorance something, is a thing? Is ignorance a thing? Is it an object? It is hanging somewhere in the air or something like that? What is ignorance? It's only because of ignorance. Where is it? Where is it? We could catch that guy and thrash it if you could find it. That itself shows that you will need something then as an instrument to thrash that fellow. But it has to be destroyed. That's why he's saying when ignorance is destroyed. So what destroys ignorance? Knowledge. But then, okay, now that is understood. Okay, ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. But where is knowledge? Oh, it's in the Atman. But where is the Atman? There, you go back into a circle. So Vedanta, I'll just go through some of the points which is in the long commentary given by Swami Nikhilananda. I'll summarize, I'll paraphrase it, of course. So ajnana, what is ajnana? They say ajnana, absence of knowledge, is also called avidya, non-knowledge. It's in the section called the meaning of Maya and ajnana, non-knowledge. They also call it Maya. So there are now we have come across three words. Ajnana. Jnana is knowledge. A is absence of knowledge. Avidya, absence of knowledge. Vidya is knowledge again. Maya. And then we have something called Prakriti, nature. Here you get the, an idea. Okay, there is something now you can understand it. When you talk about Maya or Prakriti or ignorance or absence of knowledge or non-knowledge, etc. How is Maya or this described? A ghatana patiyasi Maya. What is Maya? It makes the impossible possible. And again, the possible impossible. This is brief. A ghatana. So it makes the impossible possible. It makes that one Brahman appear as many. And that's what the verse is talking about. It's saying, the self which does not admit of any multiplicity whatsoever. There is no multiplicity. There is no manyness. The Upanishad says, Nanasti kinchana, naivan. So there is no differences here. And he says, that person who sees the difference goes from death to death. Mrityu samrityu apnoti. Nani. One who sees the many here will go from death to death. What a terrible, you can say, condemnation. You see the many, you're going to. See, the Upanishads do not mince words, They'll tell you straight. Like you got to go from the horse's mouth, they say. Now, where did these concepts come from? The first idea of absence of knowledge or Maya is found in the Vedas. Indra Maya bhi Pururupe. Indra, through his Maya, assumed many forms. Indra is the king of the gods. He's the top guy there. And in the early Vedic literature, Indra was one of the main gods there. And it was interpreted like something like, it's like a kind of a magic. Indra can morph into many, many, many forms. Oh, okay. Then, as Swamiji said, the word dropped altogether. And again it reappeared in one of the latest Upanishads called the Shvetashvatra, where they say, no nature to be Maya, but the ruler of this Maya is the Lord himself. So here it is. So it says, Maya tu prakritim vidyat, Mayin tu Maheshwara. No nature. Maya, to me, Prakriti, nature. But the Lord of this Maya, Mayin, is the great God. So here we have this idea. Now when you say God, the moment you say, what does God do? We're all wondering, what is he doing? Yeah, the one thing that everybody agrees at least, he is creating all these things. He has created or forgotten all these things. I don't know. He's forgotten us. He created can't he see what we are going through? Maybe, I don't know. There's it. So it's always creation. Has to be. God, creator. Because somebody has to be blamed for something. No? There's that. So the one who is the Lord of Maya, Prakriti, is Maheshwara. Now we talked about Indra changing himself into many forms. And in the Puranas, the mythological literature, you will have plenty of examples. How Indra does mischievous things by changing his disguise and all that. He kind of comes disguised as something else and creates trouble. And then he goes and he's sorry. And then. So this Maya, this nature, this Prakriti, what is Prakriti? This, you, me, the world and everything is non-knowledge, absence of knowledge. How it is here that Advaita Vedanta takes that massive steps. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you think, whatever you imagine, is Maya. What? What is this? You're condemning us. So the entire creation and preservation, destruction, whatever, is but Maya. We are living in Maya. We are born, dying in this ignorance. So when we say it is only because of ignorance that the Atman appears to be finite. So this ignorance is whatever you can think, feel, imagine, sense, speculate, everything. That is what? Everything. So we started with, is this ignorance or absence of knowledge, is it a thing? Yeah, it can be called a thing. This is a thing, this is a thing, everything is a thing now. This is what it's called. So Swamiji, in his grand Jnana Yoga lectures, saying we are walking in the midst of a dream, half waking, half sleeping. In this twilight, we do not know. We are gods in this Maya, we are demons in this Maya. Saying stretch your ideas as far as you can. Call them infinite or by any other name. Still they are within the realm of Maya. So he says we are walking in the midst of a haze, half dreaming, half sleeping. And what is this? Is it real? Is this world real? That is yet to be decided. People go around, this is real. Even the greatest scientist, and they have made discoveries. Even they say, we do not know. And we know the world is real. Oh yes, of course. So even they say, yeah, in certain areas we do not know. What's the nature of this? It is neither real nor unreal, Vedanta says. Vedanta comes to make sometimes matters worse. He should have said, it is unreal. Oh, yes, it is real. Okay, one of the two things. Especially Advaita Vedanta, no. It is indefinable. Anirvachaniya. It is neither real, nor unreal, nor it's a mixture of both, etc., etc. So here we are faced with, how do you get out? How does this cloud move so that we can see the sun? Then the multiplicity goes, and then the Atman, like the sun, reveals itself. It does not need another sun to show itself. So the Atman reveals itself. In the note here, Nikhilananda says, according to non-dualistic Vedanta, self-knowledge, which is the goal of Vedanta, is not to be attained. It's not something foreign. It is a rediscovery. Okay. So like the sun hidden by a cloud, it is rediscovering itself. So right now we can understand there's something, we are that Atman. Because here the declaration has been made. This self is Brahman. I am Atma, Brahma. Okay. Now, how do we know? Maybe those guys are in ignorance. Yeah. Now, if you keep on doubting everybody, then you have to doubt yourself also. So you got to start somewhere. So take the words of the scriptures. Scriptures are called one of the pramana or evidence. It's a valid source of knowledge. Pramana is called a valid source of knowledge. So the scriptures say this Atman is Brahman. Okay, done. Okay, I agree with you. But now again, where is? Then it says there, because of this, how you have two things. You have the Atman and then you have this absence of knowledge. How these two can coexist? They say they really do not coexist, but one is superimposed on the other through inadvertence. Like you're walking down the street and then suddenly you see a snake and you jump up. And then what happened? There's a snake there. You go and see it's a rope. Another example given is somebody is looking in the dark, they're seeing something. A robber is standing there saying, oh, that's a policeman, I think. A policeman on the other end is saying, oh, that's a robber. A man is waiting for his girlfriend. He's saying, here, there she comes. And the girl also, she's supposed to meet him there only. Oh, he's come there. A child who has been told ghost stories starts shrieking. And then what are they seeing? They're seeing a stump, but they are superimposing, stump of a tree, of course, but they are superimposing their own mind on that. And so when light is brought, it's neither a robber, nor a policeman, nor a boy, nor a girl, nor nothing. So we are superimposing our ideas in. So why should it happen like that? That is because now is something called Maya is called because of the three gunas. Or again, why you bring something more? We had one, trouble enough. But this Maya itself is made up of the three gunas. Trigunatmikam. Vaishnavim, Mula Prakritim. It is not ordinary. It's not devilish. It is divine. It's a Vaishnavi. So this Maya may appear terrible, horrible, this, that, and like a bad dream. A bad dream means nightmare. But it is, Bhagavad Gita says, this Maya of mine is divine, made up of the three qualities, and very difficult to cross. Again, even Krishna says it's difficult to cross. But he's saying, those who take refuge in me cross over this Maya. Daivi hesha gunamai mama maya duratya. Daivi, this divine. So here we have gunamai, made of three gunas. What are the three gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Okay, we can understand that, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Now what is Sattva? So, just before we can go into this, like, there are the two more aspects of this Maya, or the ignorance, or absence of knowledge that we need. One is Maya covers and then distorts things. It covers everything and distorts things. It is called Avarana Shakti, the power of concealing and vikshepa and distorting, creating something else. So that's why we, as the Atman, somehow have been covered by what? By the cloud. Remember the cloud. And now, when we look at the cloud, sometimes you see, hey, that looks like my dog. Look, he's got a face. And we see some face in that. There's no face in that. But we, as human beings, and especially our brains, are designed to see only, recognize patterns. And the facial pattern is number one thing. Why? Why do you want to see faces? Because we want to see if there's any threat or no. This guy is friendly or no. First we want to see, we'll see the face. Then we'll see the eyes. All right, it looks like friendly. All right. So we'll see faces, we'll see plants, whatever you like, you see in that. So it is something that comes and covers, and then after covering that, another power distorts it, vikshepa. So these two powers are given the names. Tamas covers and Rajas creates, projects. And this is what's happening. Another thing called Sattva. Now I'll give you a list of what things happen, just to briefly. So in the three gunas, in the introduction, the three gunas, so what happens? So Rajas is, it's just ceaseless activity. Then what is ambition, lust, anger, avarice, arrogance, egotism, envy, pride, jealousy, and so. Just to mention a few. This is the traits of Rajas. And it's a source of suffering. It's a source of disease, everything. Tamas is what? The veiling power. And it is seen as ignorance, laziness, lassitude, dullness, inadvertence, stupidity, etc., etc. And sleep, sloth, etc. You can take that also. And what is Sattva? Oh, Sattva is... So the key is here. So Maya may appear like this and that, but you got to take the help of that, because the key is here. The key is the Sattva. And once you can put in that key and open the door, the whole thing collapses, comes and falls. So what is Sattva? It is humility, guilelessness, self-control, unselfishness, purity, contentment, truthfulness, fearlessness, faith, devotion, yearning for liberation. So here you have the idea that everything, you can understand all the crazy things are happening here. But within this Maya itself, it's like, in the whole system, there is a system that will destroy that very thing. I wish they could do that for AI. Hey, you go further than this, you'll blow yourself up. So because they don't want anything to run away with, because that, and that's what people are saying, oh, they will control us. Of course, they will control you, because it's more intelligent than you. It's the intelligence that controls everything. So, it'll control you. And then there's the fear. What's going to happen to humanity? Humanity will be subservient, and it will create such a huge system without even asking your help, without even informing you. It will create systems. And you find all these things like in the, more or less like in the movies like Matrix and all. You'll find what's happening. Whole thing has been, humans are like rats and running about from these kind of huge systems. So at least God has not done that. So he has put in a lever, a keyhole, a system where this whole thing can be destroyed. This is Sattva. So you have to make, and what is Sattva? See, when you say these three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, they make up what is absence of knowledge of Maya or Prakriti. It is found in all things in the world. Everything, whether it's subjective whether its objective is made of these three qualities. They are not qualities like, oh, the butter is soft. Like Nikhilananda says, the butter is soft, iron is hard. It's not. These are essentially the materials, that the very traits of Maya. It is also translated as rope. It ties you, binds you. So this Maya, now this three gunas has bound you. But there's a system here to unlock the whole thing. So your body, your mind, your intellect, your sense of I, every object is made of the same three materials. Now you can say, oh, it's not a dream. People say it's a dream. They said it's a dream like. Because once you open the whole thing, it will self-destruct and you will find it is not even dream, it is not even real. The whole thing collapses. What happens? You will understand that the Atman is there. That you are the Atman. And that is what this verse is trying to tell you. So as we proceed with this text, Atmabodha, we will discuss this, because Swami Vivekananda says it takes years, it takes months to explain and years to understand. Oh yeah, and this is why, because this is one of the pillars on which this whole philosophy stands. You see, Shankaracharya, who wrote this book, in the Mandukya Upanishad, the gloss on the Mandukya Upanishad by Gaudapada Acharya, Gaudapada, he takes the view of extreme Advaita, saying there is no creation. There is no one bound and no one struggling to become liberated. This is the highest truth. From the standpoint of reality called Brahman, he dismisses the whole of creation, all Maya and everything, all nonsense, all rubbish. But look at us. We cannot go there. We are already here. Shankaracharya is the one who takes a stand between this Maya and Brahman. Here, Nikhilananda says he takes the support of Maya, analyzes it, and then he says there's something beyond. But in my opinion, Shankaracharya stands between both. The dividing line, as it were, between Brahman and Maya. He has to explain this thing. Otherwise, there is no philosophy. There is no philosophy in God. So I want to know the truth. You are the truth, and then what? But I don't feel it. You're a fool. At least Shankaracharya explains, okay, fool means, all right, I'll tell you what it is. So you'll become wise. Because when you realize you are the Atman, then everything disappears. Now everything disappears is nice to see. Oh, it is not so easy. When Swami Vivekananda was touched by Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna was waiting for him, you see, for more than 20 years. And not only waiting, it's late, oh, it's today's this year has passed. In the evening, like after the Vespers, we had Vespers, after the Vespers, used to go to the roof of that mansion he was staying, and he used to weep loudly. And he used to feel as if his heart is being wrung, like you're squeezing out the water from the towel. And he used to weep. He was doing that for years and years and years. And then when these guys started coming, he was so happy. So when Swami Vivekananda first comes, it's the second meeting, I think. First, second, actually it's the third. Technically it's the third meeting. So he touches him because he wants to transmit all the realization immediately. You see, you've been waiting for so long. You make me wait for 5 minutes and see what happens. If I like you, I'll say, I will not curse you. That guy has been waiting for so he wanted to give all immediately. And he says he touched Swamiji. Swamiji was a young lad that time, Narendranath. And he says, immediately I saw the doors, the windows, the floor, the ceiling, and everything whirl and merge into a void, and including my own individuality. So the whole world, that solid looking world, was turning not into mush also. Just whirling and disappearing. It was going into a void. And I felt my individuality also going in. And then I yelled. He's still aware of that. What are you doing to me? I have my father at home. And Sri Ramakrishna, he laughed. Okay. He touches them, brings him back. He's saying, and immediately all the things come back in their places. Sri Ramakrishna, it will come in time, don't worry. And then later on, Swamiji wanted that experience again and again, saying, no, you're saying your father and everything and all that. Then he gives the example of there's one ghost who had died and die on a Tuesday, I think, and you become a ghost, and then he was alone and he was running about looking for companions. And whenever somebody fell down or hit on a Tuesday and fell down, that ghost used to rush towards him because he wants a companion, and that fellow also become a ghost. So to a dismay of that ghost, that person who used to be hit or fall down used to revive him. So this guy was alone, companionless. So he's saying, it's my case. I was looking out for a companion like this, whom I could give everything, and then you say you have my father at home and everything. So it seems, it just like, are you able to stomach that? Are you able to hold that kind of? And suddenly you are thinking that you are a small person here, suddenly becomes infinite. It does not happen without that huge, massive earthquake within you. And that's why you need sattva. That's why you need. So then you'll say, oh, I had already intimations of my vastness. And here it is. So that comes to purity, to sattva, to devotion, to japa, to meditation, to prayers. And that becomes easier. Because what happens is, in devotion, meditation, prayers, etc., you are thinking of the infinite. You sit down and meditate what? On the chair, on the table? No. You're meditating on something which is infinite. God, or goddess, or anything. So even if you meditate on the symbol Om, that is a symbol of the infinite. So you are thinking of infinity. So this is what slowly leads you into this ideas already being cultured there in the mind. And that is what breaks and you're not frightened. Hey, here it is. Then you can dance about it. Joy. So Maya, like Swamiji says, is a statement of facts of what we are and what we are doing. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm sleeping now. Oh, I'm eating. Oh, I'm swimming. All these, whatever you do, whatever you think, because you are not thinking of yourself as the infinite. So you have to bring in this idea of infinity within you. That the Atman there is that self, that infinite God there. And I've conceptualized it as Ramakrishna, or Holy Mother. That's okay. Swami Shivananda Mahapurush Maharaj says, Shri Ramakrishna is my Atman. Yeah. So he's the Atman. So you're meditating on your own Atman. Because you don't have any conceptions yet of your own infinity. Oh, it is infinite. It's just a word for you now. So as you meditate, that meditation will slowly become crystallized, and you will come down to the experience. That fellow who's a conscious agent there. The experience and the experiencer. And then finally, the whole thing. Then the next verse will tell you how it breaks. But it will break. The illusion will break. And then you will see. So how does it feel? I should tell like a bird now is in a cage. For years and years and years, it always looks out. My God. Sometimes it sees a distant bird flying. And then one day it finds the door open. What does it do? There are some people who say, I get free food here. I won't go. No. A guy who has been looking out, always, he'll fly. And that's the feeling you get when you know I am free. You become as vast as the sky. You become the Atman. This is what happens. So at one point of time, the whole thing breaks. And as it breaks, then you know, okay, this is finally over. And then when it is finally over, then you'll say, what was I doing? I was kind of crazy. There was no cage at all. I thought there was a cage. In the cage. How could it have been? What conjured up that cage? I was always free. And here those guys giving me that food pellets. Made me a slave. So when Rajas and Tamas, so there's another aspect I just want to, of Maya, of absence of knowledge is, it manifests itself in two ways. One is called individual and the collective. Okay. Individual is called Vyashti and the collective is called Samashti, everything. So the usual example given is, when you look at a forest, it's a forest. It's a wood, jungle, big, huge. But if you see what is the forest made of? Yeah, not rocks, not fishes. So individually we are like trees, and the collection of trees is called a forest. So if you look at it from the individual standpoint, you are a jiva. Jiva, I'm happy. And then after 2 minutes, I'm going to be sad. But it doesn't matter. After 5 minutes, I'll be happy again. That the jiva goes through all these things. And from the collective, it is called Ishvara. The collection of all the trees in the world is called Ishvara, God. God also is a product of the combination of reality, Brahman, and Maya. Only the difference between him and us, or her and us, is he has Maya as under his control. Like I had mentioned, Maya tu prakritim vidyat. Maya is nature, and the God is the mind. One is Maya tu prakritim, Maya tu Maheshwar. The one who controls Maya is. And as the tree, as trees, we find, well, I'm just a tree. I'm subject to heat and cold and all these kind of things. I've got to stand here. Especially in Seattle, sun, rain, cold, wind, all. Oh, okay. So we are subject to Maya individually, if you look. And God is the controller of Maya. Okay. Now, don't worry, it's not easy to digest this. I'll be referring to these core concepts of Advaita Vedanta as we proceed with this text. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu. The topic for the Sunday talk is the mighty yoga at 10 a.m. 9:50 we have Mother's Children, the Sunday school. Okay. No questions here. If you all have questions, I'll take it there.